Okay, so a warm welcome to everybody in the Radio Diva family. Such a nice evening to have you all with me tonight. And there is so much that we do from the last almost 2 years. We have been working on on this initiative. So we started in the first lockdown. Okay, let me just highlight myself. Okay, so we started during the first lockdown when all of us were in our houses locked, and we just thought, let's meet people, let's cheer up each other. And now we have almost come a long way. We are going to be 2 years old very soon. And yes, now it evolved into a platform, which works on mental health, which works on physical health, any important awareness topic. So amazing, accomplished speakers share their experiences with us, inspiring us to be a better version of ourselves. And we are evolving as a group. We are taking new, challenges, calling new different kind of topics. And of course, we have our fun sessions also, shairi sessions, song sessions where we actually celebrate life. So if you like our content, please like, subscribe the Radio Diva on YouTube. So you will have the recording also. I think somebody wrote on the group that they want the recording. So all the recording is available on the YouTube by the name the Radio Diva, because we are going live right now on the Radio Diva. And it will be nice if you share our honest content with other people so that others also can benefit out of it. So today our topic is very interesting: positive mental health. I think too much of positivity has happened. Everybody says ki yaar tu positive nahi sochta hai, positive soch. Excuse me, Matt, I'm using a bit of Hindi because there are people who are Hindi speakers as well, and I will translate for you later. So all of us are get to hear all the time ki stay positive, why are you thinking negative, itni negativity kyun hai? But the fact is that positivity or positive mental health is a habit. Like any other habit, it takes time to cultivate it. You have to really work on it. कहते हैं ना, कुत्ते की पूंछ जैसे ना रखो पाइप में तो भी वो नहीं सीधी होती है. तो it takes time. It doesn't work. It will happen overnight. Yes, toxic positivity is happening. Too much of people are negative, but they talk positive just for the heck of it. So it's a very important thing that like a habit, like a daily routine, we bring about a change in ourselves. So we have somebody called Matt Peterson with us. Matt is a big name. All of you can YouTube, Google. I really don't have to do that. But he is somebody. I met him. I was doing a course on counseling, and he was my resource person. And somehow both of us clicked like anything. He's also somebody who has worked on inner child, and I'm also somebody who from last almost 8 years, I have been working on my inner child, on where all my energy is trapped, and Matt understands it. So that ways, it's a lovely collaboration that we have. We have been in touch throughout, and we are people who believe that we are work in progress. So Matt Peterson has been invited by many governments to many big bodies to speak on peace. He is founder director of EQ for Peace. And he really believes that if we work on our emotional intelligence, we'll be peaceful people, and peaceful people will lead to peaceful country, peaceful society. So, that's the long, the connection that Matt is trying to establish wherever he's speaking. He's somebody who generously gives his time, works overtime, because, India time and US times are quite different. So he really, never says no for anything and everything. So Matt fell in love with the wonder and joy of emotional intelligence before there was a word to describe it. His childhood made him realize that so many issues and disorders that all of us have, it's because of our emotional energy being locked as a child. And so much important that we start lack of right brain emotional education that we have. And that's the reason he immersed himself despite his own job. He has a full-time job, but still he makes it a point to give that extra time of his to this cause. And that makes Matt a very special person, and such a privilege and such an honor to have you, Matt. Thank you so much. I mean, it's an honor to have you, Matt. So yes, Matt.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Nice introduction. That sounds really good. I'm impressed myself.
and because we talk so often, we are like just talking like friends. And today I'm giving this lamba chauda, I wanted to say, like a good description of you. Yeah.
Yep.
Understand.
Thanks. I love talking to you too, because we have so much in common, like you said, and doing a lot of the same work, hopefully with some different people, but a lot of the same work. And we believe that a lot of this is at choice. We're at choice on a lot of this, right? We're at choice. So we get to choose positivity, or we can choose negativity. Take your pick. At 24/7, 365, all day, every day for the rest of our days. We get to choose. That's a wonderful thing. I think this is the best news that we can have, is that we are in charge of ourselves, and no matter what's happening outside, and there's some not good things happening outside of us, we still get to be in charge of what happens inside of us. And that is a wonderful thing. It's a life changer for me. That's for sure. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to see you guys. So Manish, you mentioned about toxic positivity. What is that exactly? I've heard the term before, but I'm not sure what it is. Do you mind?
Okay. So generally the idea is that with the idea of toxic positivity, you do not really accept that which is negative, particularly if you divide emotions between positive and negative. So you tend to downplay the negative and you overplay the positive, when the fact remains that you can't really avoid negative emotions. And therefore, if you're too positive, even though the circumstances are negative, which would kind of necessitate the uprise of negative emotions, you should not be downplaying them. And therefore, it could become toxic.
Okay. And it's actually toxic, like it hurts you by doing that, you think?
Yeah.
Really?
It hurts you in the sense that it puts you in resistance towards what is. So
okay.
And therefore it becomes toxic.
I can see that.
So basically what you meant, Manish sir, is we are in denial. We are just, right? We are just trying to show a positive self, but we are not positive. We are just trying to cause it by positive words and all that. But it's like having two faces, right? Matt. So
okay. Yeah,
thank you,
I hear
Manish,
that.
sir.
Okay. Good point. I like positivity. Like I said, it's a choice. It's very, very definitely a choice all the time. But like, I guess you can overdo it. People do overdo it sometimes, and they're being fakey about it and that kind of thing. There is something about fake it to make it, though. If you actually are practicing something, then you try and exaggerate a little bit and try to be positive even when you're not really feeling it, and then maybe if you say it enough times you get it, kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And being silly, Manish. Yeah, being silly is part of it, and dancing's part of it, and listening to good music is part of it. I love that song. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times today already, and when I was looking for the link for you, and I was just grooving to it. So, and I like hashtags. I'm not that smart, and so IQ wise, we're trying to do EQ and IQ, right? Our left brain and our right brain, our thoughts and our feelings, our cognitive and our emotional. We're trying to do both, and we're trying to balance them. We're not saying that one is better than the other one. They're different. They're both critical, and we're trying to balance them. The problem is that we, in our schooling and in our home life and in our work, certainly, we're all left brain society, yours and ours both. And we focus on the cognitive side of stuff and our thoughts, but we don't pay much attention to our feelings. And so I'm saying the cognitive side is, we're good. We're pretty good there, but we're not too good over here. And we need to increase it. We need to increase our right brain in order to balance it. So we need to practice. So sometimes we got to do stuff that's uncomfortable or that's new or that we've never done before. And so we kind of fake it a little bit, but not too much. I hear what you're saying. If you overdo it, it can be denial. But I do think it is helpful to practice and try stuff. And one of my hashtags, I'll put it in the chat, is, I love hashtags because they're super simple. Exaggerate enthusiasm. How about that? You overdo it just a little bit, So it becomes a little more comfortable for you, and also so other people go, oh, so that's why I used to not be like this. I used to be pretty shut down, closed, quiet, don't rock the boat, don't get noticed, hide, all that kind of stuff. And as I've been doing this work, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be that way. That's not fun, and I'm not helping anybody. I'm just hiding, and it's not doing anything. So now I'm like Divya said, I'm out here doing whatever I can do and firing folks up, and let's get some positivity. We've got so much negativity. Oh, and it's getting worse, you guys. It's not funny. I'm laughing, but it's really not funny. It's really, there's some horrible things going on in our country and yours. And it's all over. I could go into statistics and stuff like that. I don't know if I want to, but man, things are not going well mental health wise. And that's what's bringing about this positive mental health trend. We're trying to say, hey, we can do better. We can. Actually, I'm going to share my, Divya, can you let me share my screen, please? There's I just have a couple slides I wanted to show you guys, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have made. Please go ahead.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Here's a very basic one on the point of positive mental health, and that is that we can do better. We can learn about our mental health. Mental health usually has kind of a negative connotation to it, about problems and issues, and we have, we're going down, and we're trying to come back up to normal. I guess that's what I'm told. I mean, not what I'm told, but that's what the point of therapy has been for many years, is to get people from a mess, issues, problems, back up to normal, back to okay, right? Well, I'm saying with positive mental health that we can even do better than that. We can go from negative to back to normal, and even better than that. As we learn about ourselves and what's going on inside of us, we can deal with the negative. We do have to deal with the negatives. We're not avoiding, we're not denying, we're not nothing. In fact, dealing with the negatives is one of the main skills. But means ignore everything I said. This is what I really mean. And we can deal with the negatives and come back up to positives, because we weren't born this way. We weren't born negative. We're born pretty positive. Actually, we have a couple of granddaughters. One's 3 and one is like 9 months old only. They're little bitty ones, and they are the sweetest, wonderful, most amazing little people in the world. My unbiased opinion, of course. But it's been really cool to watch them and to see them. They're happy. Most of the time, they're pretty happy. They're pretty loving. They're pretty calm. They're pretty okay with themselves. They're just okay. They're fine. I think that is the natural state of kids when they're born. We were born pretty good. And it's kind of been downhill from there. And we need to learn how to deal with the downhill so that we can come back to being positive. We can come back to our natural state, which is pretty darn positive, which is really cool. So that's what I'm saying with positive mental health. We need to learn how to deal with our mental health and our negatives so that we can come back up and have the positives as well. How's that sound? Yeah, Manish is good. All right, you sold on that one. All right, thanks, sir. That's cool. Good. You're the only one I could see, so that's kind of neat. So I'm glad you're enthusiastic about it. Appreciate that. Anything you wanted to say about that, Manish?
Perfect. It is. That's because that possibly is the idea when people talk about resilience, and it is not only getting back to where we were, but probably moving beyond that as well. Completely.
All right. All right. Very good. Good to hear. So, Divya, how are we doing?
We are doing awesome. I suggest everybody, if you have a question, because when we ask questions, we don't ask questions just for ourselves. We ask questions for others also. So anybody who has a question, please put it in the chat box, or you can unmute and you can share. your question. And yes, Matt, we are going perfect. So, my personal question will be like, we were talking about how, bit by bit, let's go step by step, how taking those small minuscule steps will help us create positive mental health, and what exactly it means. I think these are the two questions that I have, Matt, for you.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
So first question is, what exactly is positive mental health?
Oh,
Why you call it
this
positive
kind of,
mental health?
okay. This kind of sums it up in a way, is that if we can deal with our best, then and to be our best, we need to be able to deal with and handle our worst. So it's basically, like I said, about being willing and able to deal with our negatives so that we can go back to positives, and we can create more positives, and we can consciously create positives. So to me, it's the best news, like I said, in a long time with all this bad news. Manish wrote about resilience. That's another good thing about it. Resilience helps you bounce back when something goes badly. So what I'm saying is, bottom line to the whole thing is that if we can deal with the big three negatives, right? It's good to have, let me back up a little bit. It's really good to have a good vocabulary of emotions, right? We need to be able to, let me show this one slide, that have a whole bunch of different kinds of emotions, right? It's really helpful to be able to identify and accept and understand and be cognizant of, and be able to deal with all kinds of different emotions. I have a list of 4,000, I think, or 5,000 words in the English language that are all feeling-based, emotion-based. I'm using feeling and emotion interchangeably, but they're feeling-based words. There's thousands of them. Good to know, good to have a good vocabulary, good to be able to explain yourself at least to yourself. What are my feelings specifically? And my hashtag for that, by the way, is name it to tame it. I like that one. Name it to tame it. So if you can figure out what it is you're feeling, sometimes that does it right there. You're like, oh, okay, all right. I'm feeling I'm embarrassed, or I'm overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is a big one, especially in the United States. People are tired and overwhelmed so much. It's wild. But if you can identify that's what the problem is, sometimes that makes it better all by itself. So name it to tame it is one of them. And it's really, so what I'm saying is, it's really helpful to have a really good vocabulary of feelings, positive, negative, whatever, right? And it's also helpful, in my opinion, and in my work, what we've been doing for a long time, is to boil it down to just a couple. Let's keep it simple. Like I said, I'm not that smart. IQ wise, I do okay with EQ, but I'm not that great IQ wise. So I try to boil things down and make it super simple. If you can deal with your fear, your real fears, you guys, and this is sometimes from childhood, like Divya was saying, we work on inner child stuff, and we personally, Divya and I both personally have done a lot of work on our inner child from our past. A lot of people say, don't worry about your past. Well, put it behind you. Well, the reality is, in my opinion, in our opinion, it does. You don't just put it behind you. You do some work and look at it. Take some time and look at your past and see how you became you. See what made you who you are now. See what some of the decisions that you made as a child, some of the emotions that you didn't get to feel, some of the things that happened to you as a kid. Some of them will be traumatic too. And trauma just means, it doesn't matter how bad the situation, it just means that it was big emotional for you. That's trauma. It was huge emotion for you. It could have been anything at all. In fact, Divya has a pretty good story about one of her big traumas was surprising of how it affected her. And I could share some stories about that too, if you want, but what I'm getting down to is that if we can deal with our stuff from our past, our biggest fears, which are probably childhood fears, our big angers, which may be childhood, may be current, but still, if we can deal with our big anger that's inside of us, anger is really important, most misunderstood feeling, in my opinion, and our sadness, our deep sadness. If we've lost people, if we've lost pets, we've lost people in our life, we've been abandoned, stuff like that, just some sad. If we can deal with our fear, our anger, and our sadness, there just really isn't that much that life can throw at us that we can't handle. Just those three. Boil it down. Is it fear, anger, sadness, or some combination of those? And can I handle this? Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Because knowing that you can handle these three allows you freedom, allows you confidence, allows you personal power, allows you flexibility and resilience and perseverance. And this, one of my favorite terms is grit. The grit goes in positive mental health. Grit, that means this is going to really be hard, and I can do it. I'm going to do it anyway. I can face that. I love that word, grit. And there's now books and books and on it. Started from the University of Pennsylvania, where positive psychology started, and there's grit for kids, grit for teens, grit for adults, grit for parents, that kind of thing. And so grit is a big deal. That means I'm afraid, I'm probably angry, and I am okay with that. I'm okay with that, and I'm gonna keep going. So that's a big deal. I also think that the other side of that is the positives, right? We're dealing with our fear, anger, and sadness so that we can get to joy, peace, and love. This is the big three positives. And those are very different, and there's different ways of getting to them, and they're all important. And they're kind of the key to this whole thing. What do you think?
Yeah. Manisha, you would like to say something? Yes, Manisha.
Yeah, Manisha put in the chat, grit, the power of passion. Yes, Angela Duckworth works at University of Pennsylvania with Dr. Martin Seligman, who started positive psychology, and that's where I got the word positive mental health from, because in positive psychology, they said we used to go to counseling only to get back to where we were. But Dr. Seligman says, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. We can do better than just normal. We can be powerful, successful, loving, wonderful, pretty happy people if we choose to be. So, Dr. Kalpana, you'd like to share? Get your hand raised.
Yeah, Manisha, we'll call Kalpana ma'am after that. Yes, Manisha, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So now I'm able to.
Okay.
So I think a very, very important point is being able to kind of understand as to how you became the you that you became, and maybe any childhood traumas or anything like that you have kind of suffered from, because otherwise those things get buried under the carpet, so to speak, and they never really go away. Somewhere or the other, it will bubble up. And therefore, how is it that we can get to the Satyam Shivam Sundaram? And therefore, the kind of beauty that is inside of you, the joy, the peace, which you talked about. Very, very important, very important. But I think the first part would have to be able to understand as to how you came to be the way you are, and then how you can move further from there.
I know.
Well said, Manisha.
Very good. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, Dr.
Agreed.
Kalpana, please go ahead. If you can switch on your camera, it would be amazing.
Yeah. So there is some issue, network issue, Divya. So I would like to congratulate you. So a very good evening to one and all.
Good evening, Dr.
So, okay, Matt, so it is really wonderful to listen you. So I always enjoy your talk. So can I have a look on the previous slide, the circle? It seems very interesting. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Which one? Which one? The
One with
positives or the negatives?
all those
slide.
emotions.
Yeah.
With all the
circle.
emotions.
Yeah.
Okay, till the time Matt looks for it. Narenji, you have raised your hand. You want to say something? Please go ahead.
Hi, Matt. Good morning to you.
Hi, Naren.
You're looking so bright, like sun is shining. Yeah, thank you. And pranam to our Gurudev Manish sir. Namaskaram. So Matt, I have a small query. In fact, I would not say it's a query. It's my submission, humble submission to understand, take a kind of a guidance from you, Matt, that usually people talk about that we should always have a positive attitude to achieve success in our life. So what this positive attitude actually means, Matt, do we possess a positive attitude? I mean, what I'm trying to say is positive attitudes is nothing but being positive and thinking positive or something else. Could you give a light on this, Matt?
Sure. Yeah. Good question. Actually, that's a very good question. A positive attitude. Well, to me, the negative, let me do it backwards. A negative attitude is this is how it is and it's awful, period. It's awful. I can't handle it, or I don't know how to handle it, or it's bad and getting worse and there's nothing I can do about it. It has powerlessness to it. A lot of this stuff does, where people feel like I can't do anything. And there's a lot of stuff in the world, COVID's a war, the economy, the weather, stuff like that. We can't really do anything about it, as near as we can tell. And we're powerless. And so, but then we go, oh, they're doing it to me. It's awful. There's nothing I can do about it. That kind of stuff. It just goes down, down, down. and it has to do with, in my opinion, a really good question, Narendra, is, here, let me go back to another slide because it's important, is, just a second.
So in the meantime, let me share.
This one, yeah.
You found the slide, Matt?
Yeah, I found it. It's emotional responsibility. That's what I call it, emotional responsibility. And what it is saying is that, Naren, is that I am in charge of me. I am in charge of me. Even though no matter what's happening outside of me, my thoughts, my feelings, my attitudes, my beliefs, my values, my actions, my decisions, all of that stuff is mine. They did not do it to me. They did not make me angry. Nobody makes me angry. Check that out. Nobody makes me angry. No one has ever made me angry. No one has ever hurt my feelings. That seems kind of bizarre, right? The truth is that you did that. You did that. And that's very, very, very good news. That's very good news. That we are in charge of ourselves. Our thoughts, if we think angry thoughts or we think negative thoughts, we're going to have negative feelings, right? If we think this not fair, or this isn't right, or I was mistreated, or whatever, those are all thoughts, makes us feel hurt, angry, sad, afraid, all kinds of stuff. Thoughts make our feelings, right? The cool part is there are thoughts. Something can happen outside of me that means absolutely nothing to me, means something huge to you, and you have completely different thoughts about the same exact occurrence, right? That's why a lot of times we have trouble getting eyewitness accounts of stuff that happened, because they see it. Everybody sees it differently, even though it's the same thing. They saw the same thing, but they see it differently and therefore feel differently. The cool part is that if you can take charge of yourself and say, I am in charge of my thoughts, my feelings, not them. It's not outside. It's not my parents. It's not the work. It's not my spouse. It's not any of that stuff. It's up to me. Then I am going to be more positive. It's up to me. So I get to choose, which makes me much more positive, more self-esteem, more self-confident, more positive, I'm positive about life. I feel like I'm in charge of me, and I don't feel so powerless. Even though I can't stop the war, I can decide how I'm going to deal with it and what I'm going to do inside of me because the war is happening. That's up to me, right? And so I hope that helps answer your question. Divya, looks like you want to say something. Yeah.
This has been always our favorite topic, Matt, of discussions. Naren sir, I don't know how much will it answer your question. I mean, did you get your answer, Naren sir, or you have anything else in mind? Please go ahead and say.
Yeah, I got the answer. And small thing, Matt, this negative attitude can lead to any disease, Matt.
Oh, yeah. New research is showing, a lot of research is showing now the connection between our emotions and our physical health, emotions and physical health. And that is a huge connection. They're showing, they're called, it was started with the ACE studies, ACE. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. Again, another good reason to look at your childhood and do some work in that area, your inner child work. ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences. All it is 10 questions, yes or no questions that ask people what happened to you as a child. Was someone in your family in prison? Was somebody in your family an addict? Was there abuse and violence in your family? Were you neglected or abandoned? Were your parents divorced? That kind of thing. There's 10 questions, and they've made a direct connection between the number of yeses that you give, the number of those 10 things that happened to you, and severe physical ailments as a child. I mean, as an adult. Childhood emotions unresolved and unfixed or not used and not healed become physical problems as an adult.
Oh my God, it's a beautiful information. Thank you very much. We are blessed, yeah. Matt. Really, we are blessed today. Thank you very much. Over to you, Diva.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Naren sir. And that was so, your voice was so happy and so enthusiastic. Thank you so much for being part of the session, Manish sir. Thanks to you. Yes, Vivek sir, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Deva ma'am. Hi, Matt. And hello, Manish sir. What to do when you are trapped in a toxic relationship? Means it you are constant because you are not able to get rid of that, and it weighs you down. So you are becomes very challenging to maintain the positive mental health in that case. Can you give a tip or two?
It's a very important question.
You want to talk about that?
It may be in the office or it may be at the home.
You are not, Vivek sir, you are not asking this question just for yourself. There are so many people who are in toxic relation, whether it's with their bosses who don't help them grow, don't let them grow, or even with their spouses, with their parents. Everywhere there are people who are weighing us down, who are, having this negative impact on us, and we are not able to get out of those relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, Matt, please go ahead.
I can tell you what not to do, and that's laugh at them. I know. I'm sorry. Because I've been doing all this work, and I get to see, once you see, like you're saying, where you're aware that it's toxic and you're watching people be just as negative as possible. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I've tried so hard not to laugh. I'm like, wow, it must really be painful to live inside your head and your skin. Ouch. But they don't usually take that very well, I'm afraid. So you might want to do it privately. But anyway, that's one of the things that I do. I have trouble with that because I find humor in a lot of things, and I watch people and it's like, oh my goodness. Ouch. But still though, you get to choose. You can watch somebody being negative. You can, here's one of the things. One of the biggest skills, one of my favorite skills about emotional intelligence is our ability to open our heart and close our heart. It's up to us. Again, emotional responsibility, right? It's up to us. So we can, if somebody like you're around Divya or somebody that's just wonderful, bubbly, loving, kind person like that, you can open way up. You can have a close, intimate relationship right now. You can do that right now. Open your heart up. If you feel safe and you want to, you can open right up. It's a beautiful thing. And you can have closeness and intimacy like you never experienced before if you do it on purpose. And when people are not being safe, or you're around somebody that's a butt, you can say, you know what? I'm not going to let this hurt me. I'm not going to be open to you. I'm closing my heart, let it bounce off, laugh at it, whatever you want to, look at it and go, wow, that's a shame. Empathy too is another big part of this. You can have empathy for someone that's just that negative and like, wow, what happened to you? What's going on? What are you so upset about? Are you aware that you sound really sad and or really angry or really scared? Yeah, I like to ask people, are you aware? A lot of people, if you started off that way, you're not criticizing them and you're just like, are you aware that you sound this way to me? Anyway. There's a lot of ways we can get around it, but one of our things is being able to open and close our heart. That's a huge skill. Divya?
So absolutely right, Matt. What Matt mentioned out, we create boundaries with such people. Simple.
Boundaries.
We need to know that this person, when we know that, okay, we can't avoid that person, right? That person is very much in our life, part of our everyday life. We have to see that person every day. Then we learn to create that, what Matt mentioned, closing our heart to that person, not letting that person affect us. Simple. And have compassion and kindness for that person, because that a person is mean to others only when they have had their own scars which are not healed. So unresolved issues which haven't been taken care of, and they go around. Hindi mein ek baat hoti hai. There is a thing in Hindi, let me say it and I'll translate it for you, Matt. In English, we can say, we give what we have. Always give what we have. So if we have pain in us, we will give pain to others. It's, people don't go around, bringing everybody down. It's only people who are themselves suffering. They go on bringing others down. So we have to understand that person is suffering, but maybe that person is not ready to change himself, herself. Everybody has their own time of evolution. Maybe the 10 years old Divya, 10 years back, me you would have met, or Matt you would have met, you would have felt, oh my God, what kind of anxious girl this is. She's so underconfident. She is this, she is that. Now, I maybe my time of evolution came, I have worked on myself and I am the present self. That person will also evolve. Let's not, get into those judgments, but let's make sure that our, energy doesn't deplete because of that person. We do what we have to do.
Personally, I have felt that creating compassion and having merciful attitude towards that toxic persons actually creates a shield around you and protects you from that negativity.
You know it already, Vivek, so you didn't.
Actually, I have personally experienced this, and dealing with those toxic people actually makes you more emotionally resilient, emotionally intelligent.
It tests your patience like anything. I did that in near few past, and I can tell you it's not very easy. And I think Sumant has also raised his hand. Please go ahead, Sumant, sir. Would love to hear your question. Thank you so much, Vivek, sir. Yes.
Okay, I would like to say one thing, that meeting people like you and seeing the faces of people like you makes a lot of difference. Positive people.
So you mentioned Matt, you mentioned Manish sir, you mentioned me. You have to specify now.
Now you are all three, and every positive person in my life I refer to.
Absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Divya and I were laughing about that the other day. We're like, read my lips. This took a lot of work. This is not an accident. And this is on purpose. This took a lot of work to get this smile. And the cool part is that other people can do it too. We're encouraging other people to do it, but we were laughing about, hey, read my lips. This stuff works.
It's definitely, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, मैं ना हिंदी में बात करता हूँ ताकि मैट को समझ में ना आए, क्योंकि मैट की कुछ बातें ना मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रही थी, लेकिन उनके जो वाइब्स है ना, उससे I was getting happiness.
Yeah, that is very true. So Matt, he's saying that your, energy is so contagious that just looking at you is giving him energy.
नहीं, मेरे को तो आपकी रिफ्लेक्शन लग रही है मैम, आप सबकी।
Thank you so much, Matt. And I definitely have some connect. Yes, Suman, sir, I have a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Matt. Hello, Manish, sir. Hope you're well. So my question is around the biology and, let's say, the neurochemistry part of some of these things. One of the books on my to read is a book called Dopamine Nation. I think the crux of the book is there is this ubiquitous access today for people to get instantaneous dopamine hits all the time. That kind of unregulated access to pleasure, which is completely different from happiness, kind of makes us completely go not be on an even keel when it comes to connecting with some of the more important things of life, right? So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's a definitely some interesting analysis coming out of the book. But I think dopamine as such is one aspect that there's a lot of research going on, I think closely connected in terms of the whole neurochemistry and the biology of how this happiness, meaning, pleasure kind of things work.
Yes. I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure that is accurate. Pleasure and happiness are different. We can get addicted to pleasure with not much happiness going on, and it is a scientific thing. All this emotional stuff is science based inside of us. It really is happening inside of us. Our amygdala, our prefrontal cortex, all that kind of stuff. Left brain, right brain, synapses, all that stuff is very relevant, and it's a start. And I try to do some empathy toward the world, and that is that this stuff wasn't taught to us in schools. It wasn't taught. It's starting to be, but we weren't taught. Were you? Did you guys learn about emotions when you were little? I didn't, and I was pretty upset with my. I was disappointed with my schooling. I went all the way through college, and at the end of it, I went, "That it? That's it? What about me? I know all this stuff to get a job, all this stuff in my head to get a job. That's nice. But what about me? What about what's going on inside me? I didn't know how to do that. What's going on inside of people? What really matters? Of course, I majored in the wrong thing. I should have majored in psychology or something like that, but I didn't. And so when I was done, I was very disappointed with it. Now we have a nonprofit, EQ for Peace. We're trying to get emotional education into schools everywhere. I think it's wrong that kids are not taught this from preschool to PhD all the way up. Little kids can understand it. They don't, but they're not taught. And so what are we supposed to do? So my point is that, to answer your question, is that we don't know how to deal with stuff. We don't know how to deal with our positive mental health. We don't know how to deal with our negative emotions. And so it's ignorance, not apathy. It's ignorance, not apathy, which means we don't know. So it's not that we don't care, and it's not that we're doing these bad things. It's that we don't know. And so if pleasure is the closest you can get to happiness, then all right. All right. If that's what you got to do, it's better than suicide. It's better than violence. It's better in the United States, where you go and shoot a bunch of people, a bunch of little kids, because you're mad at the world. Come on. If you're going to get stuck on pleasure instead of happiness, all right. If that's what you got to do, that's fine. That's what I was sharing here, is that there's 3 steps that we've come up with to basic things about emotional intelligence. Really simple. Awareness first. Always awareness is first, because you can't do anything until we're aware, right? We can't do anything until we're aware. So, that's okay. I'm feeling something, or I'm having a thought, or here's what's going on. It's awareness. Just open our eyes. It's called mindfulness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, but it's just being aware. Second, acceptance. Only takes a second. Speed of thought. We're just like, okay, all right, I'm having a thought, or I'm having a feeling. Okay, it's not that big a deal. So acceptance seems like it's not a huge step. It is, because the opposite is, no, I'm not. Denial and lying to yourself and lying to other people, and like we were saying, that toxic positivity. I'm not accepting that I'm not that happy. I'm just gonna pretend that I am, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just acceptance. So awareness, acceptance, and then, like you said, when you're around toxic people, what action are you going to take, or what are you not going to take? Maybe you want to say something to them about how negative they are. Maybe you don't, right? No action is a good action. And sometimes with strong emotions, it's a really good idea to keep your mouth shut. And so no action is a real action. The cool part is that you are in charge. All three of these steps, you become aware, you accept or not, and then you take some action or not based on what you are aware of and accept. So awareness, acceptance, action seems to work really well. And what you're saying is, if you're around toxic people, I'm aware of that, I'm accepting that that's how you are, and my action is leave, say something, tickle the person until they laugh, tell them a joke, something. I don't know. There's tons and tons of actions that you could take, but it's up to you, and you are in charge of you. And that's a beautiful thing. Right? How are we doing?
Absolutely. Well said, Matt. Absolutely. Yes, a big heart. And thank you so much for sharing these excerpts from the book. It looks like an interesting book. And I think Sumant shared. So Sumant, thank you for having such a beautiful question, because you are right about the dopamine thing. I recently did a workshop for Delhi University, and all the children were, they are grad students and they are very intelligent. Of course, they are the generation Z, and they had all the information much better than us. And they were talking about we get pleasure from what Matt was mentioning. We get pleasure from drive, dinner, so many things, but that doesn't equate to happiness. And this, we getting used to that dopamine rush. People take the mobile phones to their washrooms also. I have been a victim of it. Now I purposely don't do it. We need those times of solitude to be able to think, introspect. We are covering up with pleasure, or those instant Maggie, instant noodles, instant pleasure all the time, watching some clips, videos all the time, and not letting us go back to ourselves or working on us. Those reflective moments are so important, which we are missing out because of our urge for dopamine rush that we get by being entertained or being in some kind of activity all the time. Right. So I don't know. Maybe this can be a topic of discussion, Manisha and Matt. We can always have maybe a session where we can discuss this in details, how we can help others and help ourselves, most importantly, be not in that kind of race, be self-introspective and work on ourselves. Yes, Sushil sir. Sumant, did we answer your question, or you have something else in mind which you want to share? Please go ahead.
No, that answered. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the lovely question, Sumant. Yes, Sushil sir, please go ahead. Yes, Sushil sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, Divya, and good evening, Matt. How are you?
Good evening, sir. Sir, you are not audible because of the headphone. Maybe if you can remove the headphone and talk.
Okay. So, am I clear?
You are much better now. Yes.
Okay. I have a small question for Matt. Suppose you are into a kind of relationship where you have done so much for the other person, and after some time you find that those relations have become toxic for you. So how do you handle that? Thank you.
So you did a lot of things for the other person, and then now it's not going very well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes.
Yeah. Well, awareness, acceptance, action again. Okay, so you're aware of it now, right? You're aware of it, and you're accepting that you did all these things. You chose to do these things, right? You chose to do all these things.
Yes.
And maybe your action, it sounds like, is maybe you're changing the rules a little bit, or you're changing how you are going to be in this relationship. It sounds like the other person maybe is not changing. They're doing what they've been doing, but you're changing your side of it. So first off, it's not going to be probably not going to be welcome change. If you've been being wonderful and now you're going to stop being so wonderful, that's not going to be very popular. So if you can be aware and accept that as well, and be gentle about it, be responsible for it, I think, because I was laughing while you were talking, because this is me right here. This is me right here. I do so many things for my wife, so many things for her, way more than she has time to do for me. And I used to get resentful about that. And there's no way she could do all the stuff that I could do, because I work at home. And so I can do stuff that there's no way. And she does not work at home. So, so instead of getting upset about it, I have to say, you know what? I've been doing all these things. And then I get resentful. She's not even in the picture. I did this all by myself in my own head. I had an argument and I lost the argument all in my own head, right? And then I got upset and blah, blah. And I would say, you know what? This isn't working very well for me. So here's some things I am going to change. And here's what I would like for you, as I feel like I'm going to be closer to you and less resentful and less anger toward you if I stop doing some of the things that I've been doing. And I'm sorry, it's maybe uncomfortable for you, but I think in the long run, it's going to bring us closer together, actually. So that's kind of what I did with it. You kind of have to decide what kind of action do you want to take, how you want to change it. But do know it's your deal. You were doing it and now you're changing. So that's you. That's on you. That's emotional responsibility. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now you get to choose and you get to ask. One of the things with emotional intelligence too is asking, is this okay with you? Here's what I'm thinking about. Is this going to work for you? Is there a way I can do it better or different or gentler, or maybe I can keep doing it for a little bit, but kind of, reduce over time? How can we do this in a way that we stay connected or get better connected or something like that,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this
Thank you, sir, for your
we call it codependence, and that's me big time. It has to do with, for me, it had to do with fear of abandonment, big time. When we were growing up, my dad was in the Air Force, in the United States Air Force, in the military. And so we moved all the time. And so we'd come in and then I'd make some friends, and then either they would move because they were in the military, or I'd move again. And either way, I'm ripped out from my friends over and over and over again when I was little, and not so little. And so, so that caused me to, what I did with that, that didn't cause me to do it. What I decided about my life as a result of what was happening in my life was I glommed onto people. I would attach to people and I would be like, what can I do? Anything I can do to stay in this relationship, to keep you happy or to have you like me, or, I was Mr. Peachy Keen and everything's fine, even though it wasn't a lot of times. So one of the big reasons that I decided to change that, by the way, was because I realized that I was lying all the time. And I thought I was Mr. Honesty and upfront and all this stuff. But basically, I was lying a lot, because what I was saying is, I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's good. I'm happy. Not true. None of that was true. And so I quit. I was like, no, I'd rather be, we call it nice guy syndrome. Nice guys ruin lives, their own and others too. Nice guy, being a nice guy. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. And so I decided, this is not cool. I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy anymore. I'm going to be real instead. If I choose to do something nice for you, it's because I choose to do something nice for you, not because I gotta keep you in my life because I can't, please don't leave me. None of that. I do it because I chose to do it. That's it, because I chose to do it. So take all that huge pressure off. Really helped a lot for me.
Absolutely. I think, Matt, you have summed it really well. So yeah, so Naren is saying he's negative due to superiority complex. So, one thing that I have understood, Naren and Mukul and everybody who's writing, everybody is fighting their own battle. Even people who are making it tough for us, they are also having, the life is tough for them also because of the drama, the melodrama that we create in our minds, basically.
In our mind.
Yeah. Thinking about it, making it so huge and so big, and adding meanings to it, and making it so big in our minds that it's like a monster for us, basically. And then it starts affecting us, it starts eating us up. So the thing is that, if in Hindi, if I can say, कि सब कुछ को छोटा बनाने का, na big thing can be made into a small thing. Big issues, I mean, something really big happened, but that can also be made into a small thing and forgiven, forgotten. Okay, we take it too much to our heart. How dare he say this? How dare he do this? And then we make it actually big, and we tell 5 more people, and then 5 more people add their spices to it, and we actually cook up the story, and the story becomes a huge thing. So I think, even the complexes that people have, I mean, I'm sure they're fighting their battle. Let's try and strive to be a better version of ourselves. What do you say, Matt?
And definitely. We can make make things. Another one of the skills is that we can make things really big and really important to us. We go, wait, no, this is not okay with me. I'm not going to accept this, or I'm not going to do this anymore. And I can use my personal power and I can say, no, it's not okay with me. And we can make this a very big deal. And we can go, you know what, to ourselves, you know what, that's not that big a deal. Like you were just saying, Divya, it's like, okay, all right. Yeah, I see that this connected to my childhood, or it's something that is a problem for these other toxic people. Like it may be a big deal to them, but it's not so big a deal to me. And so we can change our point of view, I call it. So we can make it really small and really minute and specific, or we can make it big and go, you know what, in the big scheme of things, in the whole world, it's not that big a deal. All right, it's just not that big a deal. And so we can change our point of view to work works best for us.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 years down the line, all the people whom we are giving so much of importance might not have an existence in our life.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, let's make things very small. For us also and for others also, let's bring the focus on ourselves. कहते हैं ना, there is a Galip, before you start, Mukul, there is one thing ना, there is this, I think Galip की वो है, शायरी है कि ना, धूल चेहरे पे थी और हम आईना साफ करते रहे. So now the problem is somewhere with us. We are so judgmental. We are so, trying to find faults. Matt, I will make you explain this line. So basically, when we work on ourselves, we don't see the problems with others because we are busy setting our own house. We are not looking at the fire in others' house. We are looking at the fire in our own house, setting our mind first. Are we perfect? How do we expect perfection from others? I mean, simple thing. I don't know, maybe from the time I started working on myself, as Matt said, I really feel, I won't laugh at others, but I see their emotions and I understand that this person is suffering and he needs or she needs help, but maybe she is not ready for it. When the time comes, maybe she will, he will. And I don't go on giving advices also, because not everybody will take it. They will give it back to me. Yes, Mukul, I'm so sorry for taking so much time. Please go ahead. Last question. Yes, Mukul, you have to unmute yourself.
It's not a question. Rather, I'm pretty interested in this kind of conversations. I have had a very bad boss in past. But after that relationship ends, you'll always come back stronger. So accept it. The life will be better. And there are certain unmet needs in ourselves. If we are identifying ourselves and we are actually dealing with those needs, then definitely you'll not need that kind of person in your life. It always requires 2 people to be in an abusive relationship. If you come out of it, the person will definitely not allow you to come out. He will try to trap me in many ways, but you'll have to be, intelligent enough, understand your needs first, then you'll be able to come out. And trust me, after every relationship, you'll feel stronger, you'll become stronger.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you are bang on that. It takes two to tango. Yeah. Matt, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, just they say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You're kind of going on that theory. It usually, and hopefully that's true, because some things can kick your butt and some things don't make you stronger. It's up to us. It's up to us is whether it makes us stronger or better or not. That's kind of the positive mental health thing. Is another one of my hashtags is spin it to win it. Spin it to win it. So let me put that in the chat. What that means is that working for me, or am I overdoing it, or am I having a thought that I don't really like? If I am, then I can adjust what I'm thinking or adjust my feelings, and I can turn things inside of me and spin it a little bit so that it works much better for me, right? We can have a relationship like you were saying and have a terrible relationship and then go, you know what I'm learning from this? And I can find things positive for myself to adjust it instead of just being upset about it, instead of just, getting rid of the person and getting all resentful and all that stuff. Be like, wait, you know what? Let's see if I can handle this different. Let's see if I can make it. Maybe even Divya, you said a lot of times people aren't ready. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they just, no one's ever brought it up before. Like I said, it's ignorance. It's not an apathy. They don't know. And so a lot of times I have found that if I say something, it's riskier for me. It's scary for me sometimes because of my abandonment issues, but I can change somebody's life sometimes. They're like, oh, I had no idea, or oh, I didn't know that you knew. I didn't know that you knew. I knew, but I didn't know you knew. And like, wow, I didn't realize I was coming across that way, that kind of thing. Sometimes we ask things like, hey, what you just said hurt my feelings. Did you mean for that to happen? Is that what you meant? Pretty good question, huh? Did you mean to hurt my feelings? That's pretty wild, because about 70% of the time, no, they didn't. They're like, oh, sorry, right away. They're like, no, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But some of the time they did. And then you got a whole nother conversation, right? That's a whole different conversation, because they did mean to hurt your feelings. Like, oh, okay, well, all right. All right. Now I can deal with that. Again, awareness, acceptance, and action. All right, I'll deal with that. But asking is a big deal. Asking them and asking for what you need. Could you say that a different way? Could you say, when you talk to me, would you mind coming at it from would you be a little gentler with me? That kind of thing. We can ask for what we want in ways that's really powerful and that can change things. Anything, Nicole, does that help?
Definitely.
So,
cool. All right. I want to share one other thing real quick, if I may, because I think this is a very, very important, is that how this works is that I was saying that no matter what happens outside of you, we get to choose what happens inside of us. This is kind of how it works real quickly, is that stuff happens outside of us. Step one, stuff happens. If you get out of bed in the morning, even if you don't get out of bed in the morning, stuff is going to happen, right? Outside of you, it just does. They're facts. They're not in your control. Things happen. They just do, right? We then have a thought and or a feeling, we have a thought and a feeling about what happened. Guess what? Now it's inside. Now it's inside of us because we had a thought and feeling about it. Now we have to deal with our thought and our feeling about it, which we can, but now it's on us. So now again, it's out. No matter what happens outside, we now took it inside and then we can do stuff with it. So now it's inside of us. We then become aware of it. Step 4, become aware. Oh, I'm having a thought about this. Oh, I'm having a feeling about this. All right. And step 5. All right. I'm having a thought and a feeling about this. Okay. Not that big a deal. I just am, right? I'm noticing. I'm okay. All right. I'm aware of that and I accept it. How do I value? Step 6, evaluation. Do I like that thought? In school and at work all day long, we think consciously. All right. We direct our mind to think specific thoughts and about specific subjects, right? we can do that. Same with our emotions. We go, did I like that thought? Is that the thought I want to stick with, right? And do I want to be resentful and grumpy toward this person? Is that how I want to do it? Or do I want to spin it a little bit and change things a little bit? That's an action inside of us. But we evaluate what we're thinking and feeling. We then make a decision. Do I want to make a different thought? Do I want to say something? Do I want to ask? Do I want to leave? What do I want to do? I'm going to decide. And in that decision is where we have the power. That's where our power is. Evaluation and the decision. We get to decide what we're going to do with stuff that happened, right? Then we take some action, or we take no action, but that's outside of us. But again, that's still in our control, but we're now coming back outside. So stuff happens, it comes inside, we process it, we then come back out with an action, a behavior, who we are, what we do, what we say, what we write, what we think. That kind of stuff is outside of us, and that's where we get our results in our life by what we do. So our thoughts and feelings are inside, our actions and results are outside. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think that's a lot of people are going like, wow, I didn't know I could do all that. You're like, yeah, stuff happens outside, but we get to deal with what happens inside, and then we come back outside with it or not, and that's up to us. Pretty cool, huh?
Absolutely. So, we have gone way beyond time. So there is one last question.
Oh, sorry.
Vivek has asked, facing toxic person one-to-one is different things. So this is the last question we are taking. But when that person exposes his toxicity among a group of people, example, humiliates us during a meeting or makes us a laughing stock, it becomes really a challenge. Can you elaborate more on how to deal with it? Matt, you want to take it?
I'm reading it again. I was looking at something else.
So you read the question, and till that time, I will say what I think about it. So
go ahead.
If a person behaves in this way, humiliates us in a meeting or laughs at us, trust me, it exposes that person more than it exposes us. And everybody today is wise enough. I hardly meet people who talk about others. They talk about ideas. Either they are appreciative or they don't talk about others. So if somebody talks about others, it exposes them more than it does to you. It does no harm to you. So, you have to be indifferent. You have to become so immune that it doesn't affect you. And when you don't show the kind of reaction that person is looking for, then you have, taken the power from that person to affect you. Because a person who is in a habit of laughing at others will laugh at you, will laugh at others also. And I think everybody else knows them, okay, this is how they are. So they are exposing themselves, and you, by not reacting, not moving a finger also on it, have disempowered that person, and then the person has lost his or her power on you, and it won't, they will in the process, hopefully they will stop doing it because they're not getting the kind of response they were looking for. I mean, this is from my limited knowledge. Matt and Manish sir, you are more experts in answering this kind of questions, so please go ahead. Yes.
I was thinking of some different actions you could take. Apparently you're aware of it, and probably painfully aware of it, and accept that that's what this person is doing, and probably had done a number of times, sounds like. So you're doing those two. Now you got a bunch of choices. Now you got choices of action. You can laugh with them, and yeah, that is funny. And one of the things is that in emotional intelligence is being able to laugh at yourself, at even your own stupidity and ignorance, and well, I don't know. Wow. Well, didn't know that one. Okay, that's a wow, right? And so if we can laugh at ourselves, it's really helpful. It's not easy. A lot of this stuff, by the way, you guys, is really, really simple, but it ain't easy. Some of it is really hard. So don't make it, oh no, that's too hard. Well, it can be very difficult, but in doing it, in succeeding through your difficulty, that gives you more power and more ability to handle even more as we go on. Like Mukul said, if you had a bad relationship, if you learn from it, then you end up better off. So being able to laugh at yourself, being able to not have any reaction, as Divya said. You could say, "Ouch." That's another one of my favorite lines. Response to people is "Ouch," because they a lot of times they don't realize that they're hurting your feelings, or they don't realize that you realize it, right? They don't, and they certainly don't like getting called on it, baby. But if you go, "Ouch," they're like, "Damn, that hurt," and they're like, "Oh, sorry," or "I'm not sorry." Anyway, you have a number of choices there. So asking them not to do that anymore, asking the leader of the meeting not to allow that kind of stuff anymore. You have a bunch of choices, but what it boils down to is, what do you do with it inside of you? What do you do with it inside of you? And if you say, "Oh, they're laughing at me, so therefore I'm less than, or I'm stupid, or I'm dumb, or I don't fit in," skip all of that. You can have those thoughts and just let them go on through, like ocean waves. They just keep coming and keep coming. You just let them go, let them go, let them go, and you pick the ones that you want to surf. You choose the ones where you go, "Oh, okay, now this is juicy. This is important to me. I'm going to do something with this one." But most of this other stuff, I'm just let it go. It just was a thought. It just was a dumb thing that happened. I'll just let it slide on by. It, again, sounds easy, not so much. Sometimes it's not easy at all, but it's kind of if you can have the focus on, hey, you know what, just it happened, let it go, etc. Go ahead, Manish.
I don't really think I should add anything more after what you said. That was perfect.
Your voice is not clear, Manish, sir.
Is it any better now?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Manish,
so I was saying that after Matt has spoken, I don't really think there's any need to add anything else to it. All that you can do is control what's going on inside and the kind of drama that you are creating inside. And therefore, how is it that you can mute it or maybe reduce the volume somewhat? And therefore, because probably the mind needs to kind of work and needs to think, could we look at something else as well? So spin it to win it, as Matt said, and therefore could you spin it to something else altogether? Maybe start finding something that you can be grateful for with that particular individual himself, or maybe the other opportunities that have come your way in the past. So could we look at some amount of gratitude there instead of feeling resentment and vehemence against that person? Maybe.
Cool.
Absolutely.
May I just one quick comment about what you just said is that I have you said all you can do is manage what's going on inside of you. And that is one of our big powers, is managing what's going on inside of us. It's not all we can do, though. I found is that I have my mentor is named Myron Doc Downing. He's a PhD, been a therapist for 100 years and taught me so much. And he says we have no control over what happens outside of us. We have absolute control of what happens inside of us. I disagree. I'm sorry. I actually disagree with that. We do have some control over what happens outside of us. We can ask, we can demand, we can request, we can suggest, we can do some things. We can do something. I used to think I was completely powerless and all I had was my insides when I first learned about this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I do have some stuff inside, but damn it, I also have some stuff outside. I can ask for things to be different. I can demand them different. I can be pretty powerful and using my voice and my words and using my tone and that kind of thing to make things different. I can make some effect on things. And that to me feels really cool. And of course, inside mostly, but we can impact our outside too. So yeah, okay. I didn't mean to disagree with you, but
absolutely agreed, Matt. Being vocal about our issues is also important, I think, especially in our country, when we, keep it to ourselves. If we are not liking, say, for example, our boss can always say, this attitude is not fair. Let's, I just want, if you can, I mean, of course, depends on how receptive the person is, but there is always a way to put your point forth.
Yep. And if it doesn't go very well, if you try something and it doesn't go very well, that's okay, because I can deal with my fear and my anger and my sadness. And if I get rejected, if I get disappointed, if it doesn't go well, if I get my feelings hurt, that kind of thing, It's okay. I can deal with that. And since I can deal with that, I can risk more. I can be out there more. I can ask more. I can demand more even sometimes. And I can be a powerful person because I can deal with if it doesn't go well. That is my new theory. And I'm loving that one. I'm loving that.
So in nutshell, if I say it in Hindi, khud ko jeeta to jag ko jeeta. So basically, you have to win yourself before you win anybody else. Yes.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
Manish?
Okay. Wonderful. And if you can kind of win over yourself, what else can you ask?
All right.
Wonderful.
Okay, one more, Divya, if I could, please just sum up. I'm going to sum this up, really. This is my request. Again, here's me asking for what I want. I would like for you guys to decide that your emotions matter a lot. They matter way more than we ever thought possible. I was shocked. A lot of people are like, what? We don't talk about emotions. They're no big deal. Like, oh, really? They are huge, huge deal. And so please make them more important to you. Accept emotional responsibility for them because they're yours. They're your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, all of them, not some of them, all of them. And that changes everything. That was a whole life changer for me. I suggest you learn how to release negative emotions. And we have a whole thing on this, how to do this. We could do it later or something, or I could send you some more information or whatever, but there's a whole thing on how to release our negative emotions. Purposefully, powerfully, and completely. And again, if you can deal with your fear, anger, and sadness, you can deal with anything that life can throw at you. And lastly, my request is teach somebody else about this because they don't know. Tell somebody else about their emotions because they don't know. They don't know. and they don't know that they don't know. So they're not looking. They're not asking. They don't know that a lack of emotion is a problem. And they don't know that learning about their emotions is a solution. And so they're not asking. So we have to jump up and down. That's what Divya and I are doing, going, come on, you guys, this is really, 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 really important. And you may not want to hear it. And it's new and it's mushy and it's uncomfortable and it's all that kind of good stuff. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. It's that important. It's that important, right? So tell somebody else, please. Anybody, everybody.
Yeah, make people aware about it. And Manish sir has been kind enough to share Matt's website. So all of you.
Thank you.
Through it. And yes, also go through YouTube of Radio Diva. Please subscribe and forward it to others so that they can also subscribe. We need to become an authentic website and I need all your help in doing so. Yes, Mukul sir. Yes, Naren. So amazing session, Matt, and everybody. I think this session became all the more amazing because of each one of you. You all participated. You were
It is nice. Yeah.
Audiences we had, and all thanks to all gratitude to Manish sir for this, because you know what, nobody, we ourselves make up stories. Our mind is such, and when we get some clarity, some perspective from somebody else, we have clarity in our own thoughts and we become better. So this was such an amazing brainstorming session that we had. Matt, you are always, we love your energy and we love it at Radio Diva. So thank you so much. I think somebody wants my contact number. So, Manish sir, I will share with you the Radio Diva link. You can forward it in the group. And of course, the YouTube link of Radio Diva, Manish sir has forwarded. All of you, thank you so much, Chandrasekhar sir, and everybody, each one of you. It was a beautiful session. So, so much of gratitude to each one of you. Let's be better version of ourselves. खुद को जीतते हैं, उसके बाद दुनिया को, उसके बाद जग को जीतते हैं, right, Manish sir?
What more can I say?
Thank you. Let's be a work in progress. And everybody, good night, and see you all on Thursday. We have a Shairi session. Manish sir, I will share the link with you. All of you, you can join. Having an hour of laughter and happiness is also important for mental health. And that's what we try to balance here on Radio Diva. One serious session on Tuesday and one fun session on Thursday. So looking forward to see each one of you. Good night and sleep well. And Manish and Matt sir, good morning to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you.